Point to yourself. Go on. Do it right now. Point to yourself. Where did you point? Your chest, your head, your face, wherever you pointed to a body. But are you your body? Really? Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If I cut off your arm, are you still you? Obviously, yes. Cut off both arms. Still you. Both legs. Still you. Replace your heart with a machine. Still you. Replace your kidneys, your liver, your lungs with artificial organs. Still you. So where exactly are you? What part of that body is actually you? You're about to discover something that will shatter everything you think you know about yourself. You don't exist. Not the way you think. Not the way anyone thinks. And when you truly understand what I'm about to tell you, you will never see yourself the same way again. Let me show you. Start with the obvious. Your body, that thing you've been dragging around your whole life. You think it's you. You think it's yours. You think it's been the same body since you were born. Wrong. Dead wrong. The atoms in your body right now are not the same atoms that were there 7 years ago. Not most of them. Almost all of them. Your body is constantly replacing itself. Skin cells die and new ones grow. Red blood cells live about 4 months, then get recycled. The cells lining your stomach last only a few days. Your skeleton completely rebuilds itself every 10 years. The atoms in your muscles, your organs, your brain, constantly exchanged with the environment. You eat food, those atoms become you. You breathe out, those atoms leave. You sweat, you shed skin. You lose hair. Matter flows through you like water through a river. Here's the question that should keep you up at night. If almost every atom in your body has been replaced since you were a child, in what sense are you the same person? The child you were at age 5 shares almost no physical matter with the person you are now. Different atoms, different cells, different molecules. If you met your 5-year-old self, you would share almost nothing physical. So what makes you both you? What is this continuous thing called you that persists while the matter changes? Let's go deeper. Your brain, that's where you are, right? That's where the self lives, the command center, the seat of consciousness. 3 pounds of tissue that somehow generates experience. But here's the thing, your brain is also replacing itself, not as fast as other organs, but it's happening. Molecules are cycling through. Proteins are being broken down and rebuilt. The physical stuff of your brain is in constant flux. The neurons themselves mostly persist. But what makes a neuron, not the atoms? The atoms change. It's the pattern, the structure, the organization. You are not the stuff of your brain. You are the pattern in the stuff. And patterns are not things. Patterns are relationships, abstractions, information. Think about a wave in the ocean. You can see the wave, you can point to it, you can watch it move across the water. But what is the wave? Is it the water? No. The water molecules just bob up and down. They don't travel with the wave. The wave moves through the water, but it's not made of any particular water. It's a pattern, a disturbance, a shape that propagates. The wave is real. You can surf on it, but it's not a thing. It's a process. You are a wave, not metaphorically, literally. You are a pattern propagating through matter. The matter comes and goes, flows through, gets replaced, but the pattern persists. For a while, the pattern that is you has been continuous since you were born, but the stuff has been completely swapped out multiple times. You are not stuff. You are organization. You are information. You are a process happening to matter, not matter itself. But wait, it gets worse. Let's look at what that pattern actually is. You think you're one thing, one self, one unified consciousness experiencing the world. Wrong. Your brain is not one thing. It's 100 billion neurons connected by 100 trillion synapses. It's not a single processor. It's a society, a colony, a vast network of specialized modules that somehow create the illusion of unity. There's a part of your brain that processes vision, another that handles language, another that manages movement, another that generates emotions, another that makes decisions. These parts don't always agree. They compete, they conflict, they negotiate. The feeling of being oneself is the result of this negotiation. It's a story your brain tells itself, a narrative constructed after the fact to make sense of the chaos. Split brain experiments proved this decades ago. When the connection between the left and right hemispheres is severed, something terrifying happens. Two separate consciousnesses emerge. The left brain doesn't know what the right brain is doing. They have different opinions, different preferences, different personalities almost. Which one is the real person? Both? Neither? The unity you feel is not fundamental. It's constructed. Cut a few connections, and it falls apart into pieces. Here's something that will really disturb you. Your sense of making decisions, your feeling of free will, of choosing, of being the author of your actions. It's an illusion. Experiments have shown this repeatedly. When you decide to move your finger, your brain initiates the movement before you're aware of deciding. The conscious decision comes after the neural activity has already begun. Your brain decides, then tells you that you decided. The feeling of choosing is a report, not a cause. You're not the driver. You're a passenger who thinks they're driving because someone hands them a disconnected steering wheel. Who is making the decisions then? Nobody. No single thing. It's the network, the pattern, the emergent behavior of 100 billion neurons doing their thing according to physics. There's no little person inside your head pulling levers. There's no ghost in the machine. There's just the machine. And the machine creates the illusion of a ghost because that illusion is useful for survival. Let's get really uncomfortable. Let's talk about what happens when you sleep. Every night you lose consciousness. The self disappears. For hours you're gone. Not just quiet or resting, gone. The pattern that is your waking consciousness dissolves. Something else happens. Dreams, strange fragmentary experiences that you might or might not remember. But the you that's reading this right now, that continuous self that feels like it's been here all day, it dies every night and gets reconstructed every morning. How do you know you're the same person who went to sleep last night? You have memories. But memories are just data. They could be implanted. They could be false. They could belong to someone else. You wake up with a brain state that includes memories of yesterday, and you assume you're the same person. But the consciousness that existed yesterday is gone. It ended when you fell asleep. What exists now is a new instance, a fresh boot, a copy that thinks it's the original because it has the original's memories. This isn't philosophy. This is what the science suggests. Continuity of consciousness is not guaranteed. It's interrupted constantly. Every time you sleep, every time you're under anesthesia, every time you pass out. The lights go off, something stops, and something starts again later. Is it the same something? How would you know? How could you tell the difference between continuous existence and a series of discrete instances that share memories? Here's a thought experiment that will break you. Teleportation. Imagine we build a machine that scans every atom in your body, destroys the original, and reconstructs a perfect copy somewhere else. The copy has all your memories, all your personality, all your feelings. It thinks it's you. It would argue passionately that it's you. From the outside, it is you. But from the inside of the original, what happened? You got scanned and then destroyed. You died. The fact that a copy exists somewhere else is no comfort to the consciousness that just ended. But here's the thing. How is this different from what happens normally? The atoms in your body are constantly being replaced. The pattern is being reconstructed moment by moment from new material. You're not the same physical object you were yesterday. You're a copy, a reconstruction. The only difference with teleportation is the gap is bigger, the replacement is faster. But the principle is the same. You are constantly being destroyed and recreated. The feeling of continuity is an illusion created by memory and narrative. Let's talk about what you actually are at the most fundamental level. You are atoms, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and traces of other elements, arranged in particular patterns. Those atoms are not special. They're the same atoms that are in rocks and water and air. The carbon in your body was forged in a star billions of years ago. It's been part of countless things before you. Rocks, oceans, plants, animals, other people maybe. You're borrowing it temporarily. The atoms don't know they're you. They don't care. They follow physics blindly. And somehow, this blind physical process creates the experience of being someone. But even atoms aren't really things. Remember what physics tells us. Atoms are mostly empty space. The nucleus is tiny. The electrons are probability clouds. What you call matter is mostly nothing. And the something that's there, the particles, they're not really particles either. They're excitations in quantum fields, ripples in abstract mathematical structures. You are not made of stuff. You are made of patterns in fields, mathematics that somehow feels like something. The self is an abstraction built on abstractions. You think you're a thing, but you're a pattern in atoms that are mostly empty space, that are actually field excitations, that are ultimately mathematical. At no level do you find a solid, persistent, unified self. At every level, you find process, change, multiplicity, abstraction. The self is what it feels like to be a certain kind of information processing, nothing more. Here's what makes this even stranger. The boundaries of yourself are arbitrary. You think you end at your skin. Inside the skin is you. Outside is not you. But that boundary is not fundamental. It's conventional, useful, but not real in any deep sense. The atoms at the surface of your skin are interacting with air molecules constantly, exchanging energy, exchanging matter. Where exactly do you stop and the air begin? At the quantum level, there's no sharp boundary. Everything is fields interacting. The field that is you is continuous with the field that is the air. The separation is perceptual, not physical. You are continuous with your environment. The oxygen in your blood came from outside. The food in your stomach came from outside. The information in your brain came from outside. From parents, teachers, books, experiences. What's inside you that didn't come from outside? Nothing. You are the environment, folded in on itself, concentrated into a temporary pattern that calls itself I. And other people? Same thing. Same atoms, same fields, same physics. The boundary between you and another person is conventional. Two patterns in the same field, two waves in the same ocean. The feeling of separation is strong, but the physics doesn't support it. At the deepest level, there's just the universe, patterning itself into temporary forms that imagine they're separate. Let's talk about memory, because memory is what creates the sense of continuous self. You remember yesterday, so you think you existed yesterday. You remember childhood, so you think you've been here since childhood. Memory is the thread that seems to connect the moments. But memory is not reliable. Memories are not recordings. They're reconstructions. Every time you remember something, you rebuild it from fragments. And the rebuilt version is influenced by your current state. Memories change over time. They get distorted, contaminated. False memories are easy to implant. People remember things that never happened with complete confidence. So the thread that connects you to your past is frayed, unreliable, partly fictional. The child you remember being is partly invented. The continuous story of your life is a narrative constructed by a brain that evolved to make sense of chaos, not to discover truth. You are not remembering your past. You are creating it. Every time you look back, you're writing fiction and calling it memory. Here's something that should terrify you and liberate you at the same time. If the self is a construction, a pattern, a story, then it can be changed. The narrative you tell about yourself is not fixed. The pattern can reorganize. The self you will be tomorrow is not determined by the self you are today. You are not trapped in an identity, because there is no identity to be trapped in. Just process, just flow, just constant becoming. People say, find yourself, as if there's a self hiding somewhere, waiting to be discovered. Wrong. There is no self to find. There is only the self you create, moment by moment, choice by choice, thought by thought. You are not a noun, you are a verb. Not a thing, but a process. Not being, but becoming. The mystics knew this. Every tradition that has seriously investigated the nature of self has come to similar conclusions. The Buddhists say there is no self, anatta. The Hindus say the individual self is illusion, maya. The boundary between you and the universe is imaginary. You are the universe pretending to be a person, a wave pretending to be separate from the ocean. When the wave realizes its ocean, something shifts. The fear of death diminishes because you were never really born. The sense of isolation fades because you were never really separate. But you don't need mysticism to see this. Physics is enough. The hard science of atoms and fields and information, it all points to the same conclusion. The solid, continuous, unified self is a useful fiction constructed by brains for survival, not for truth. So what do you do with this? How do you live when you know you don't exist? First, relax. The illusion of self is not a problem to be solved. It's a feature, not a bug. Evolution built it because it works. Organisms that model themselves as unified agents navigating a world of objects tend to survive and reproduce. The self is a tool, a very effective tool. Use it. Just don't take it too seriously. Second, let go. If there's no fixed self, there's nothing to defend. No ego to protect. No identity to maintain. The exhausting work of being someone can stop. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to be consistent with who you were yesterday. You're not that person anyway. You're new, always new, every moment a fresh start. Third, connect. If the boundaries between selves are conventional, not fundamental, then separation is optional. The loneliness you feel is based on a misconception. You are not alone because you were never separate. The other people you see are other expressions of the same thing you are, other patterns in the same field, other waves in the same ocean. Recognizing this doesn't erase difference, but it changes the quality of difference from isolation to variation. Fourth, create. If the self is a story, then you're the author, not a character in a predetermined plot, but a writer making it up as you go. The story can change. The character can develop. There's freedom here, not the freedom of a ghost making uncaused choices, but the freedom of a process that can reorganize itself, that can learn, that can become something it wasn't. Let me tell you what happens at death. The pattern that is you stops. The process ends. The atoms disperse, go back to the environment, become other things. The information that was, your memories, your personality, your experience, it unravels, returns to noise. The wave crashes on the shore and becomes just ocean again. Is this sad? Maybe. Is this terrifying? It can be. But here's another way to see it. The pattern that is you has never existed before. In the entire history of the universe, this particular configuration of matter and information has never happened. And after you're gone, it will never happen again. You are not a copy. You are not replaceable. This moment, this experience, this particular dance of atoms pretending to be someone, it's unique, unrepeatable, precious beyond measure. And while it lasts, while the pattern holds, something extraordinary happens. The universe experiences itself. Through your eyes, the cosmos sees. Through your ears, reality hears. Through your consciousness, existence knows it exists. You are not separate from the universe, wondering about it from outside. You are the universe, wondering about itself from inside. The pattern that is you is reality folded in a way that lets it experience itself subjectively. This is the miracle. Not that you exist as a solid, separate self. You don't. But that existence can feel like something at all. That the mathematics can experience. That the fields can wonder. That the nothing can feel like something. This is the real mystery. Not the self, which is illusion, but experience itself, which is undeniable even when the experiencer is revealed as construction. You don't exist the way you thought. You're not a thing, not permanent, not unified, not separate. You're a process, a pattern, a temporary eddy in the flow of matter and energy. A story told by neurons to neurons, a dream the universe is having about being someone. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, that dream includes this moment, this breath, this thought, this experience of being here, now, alive, aware, wondering what you really are. You don't exist. And that's the most amazing thing that never happened to no one.